Right, so Robert Jenrick, Honest Bob, formerly the housing minister, trying to help billionaires dodge millions in tax. Now, looking to become Suella Braverman's favourite pet minion at immigration, looking to get a gold star off her for dog whistling his weaselly black guts out on the media rounds. But he's had another racist mare on the TV interview shows over refugees once again. He was being interviewed on Channel 4 News by Krishnan Guru-Murthy, who asked him about comments made on the subject of refugees by Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, who was called the illegal immigration bill, which made its way through the Lords yesterday, impractical and morally unacceptable, which it is. Jenrick was asked why he thought Welby was wrong, of course, and he came out with an absolute whopper of a line. Honest Bob said, I don't want to see tens of thousands of people put into small boats by people smugglers and human traffickers. The vast majority of people coming across the small boats are coming from France, and they're choosing to come to the UK for whatever reason. They're essentially asylum shoppers. Asylum shoppers, he called them. Well, Krishnan stepped in here reminding Jenrick that this was their right under the Refugee Convention. They can go where they like to see asylum, but Jenrick wasn't done. He was still spade in hand, determined to dig his hole even deeper. He shot back. The Refugee Convention also says people should seek sanctuary, should seek asylum in the first safe country, and that's a really important principle. No, it's not. Krishnan shot back, and he was right to do so because Jenrick was lying through his teeth. There is no provision in the Refugee Convention stating asylum must be sought in the first safe country you come to. It's a myth. It always has been. When pressed on this, Jenrick backpedaled to saying the convention encourages people to seek asylum in the first safe country. Well, that's not the same thing, is it? And it doesn't do that either. Asylum shoppers, though, they aren't buying that, Bob. The only thing they're buying is the opportunity to risk their lives coming by small boat, having paid people traffickers a king's ransom to help them do so. Because according to the Refugee Convention, something that actually is in it, they can enter the country illegally to claim it without fear of prosecution, with no safe routes to claim asylum, risking their lives in getting here because here is where they need to be. Their reasons for choosing the UK are their own to make when they claim asylum, not for us to prejudge, but Jenrick absolutely was, and getting his own arse handed to him by Krishnan Guru-Murthy. And that wasn't his only screw-up of the day. He appeared on Peston later on in the evening too, having said previously that their values and lives are undermining our social cohesion as a reason to criminalise asylum seekers entering the country illegally. Bear in mind, of course, the Refugee Convention is international law and renders the method of entry to a country to seek asylum, be it by legal or illegal means, completely irrelevant. Jenrick started out in answering Peston when his own words were first put to him, was that firstly, these people are committing a crime by breaking our immigration laws, referring to the illegal migration bill, which hasn't yet passed. We'll come on to that presently. Jenrick went on to say that we should not be condoning that, but Peston chipped in stating the obvious, that these people were only breaking a law the Tories themselves had created. The crime they are guilty of is one the Tories themselves have devised. Jenrick rebutted this, saying we would expect to be treated robustly if we broke into another country, but then we aren't asylum seekers, and as Peston correctly again responded, no other country has made all asylum seekers de facto criminals, and as Jenrick then took up his spade and began to dig again, he said not all asylum seekers are criminals, just the ones who come over on those small boats. Crossing the channel itself is not illegal, it should be noted, just so basically not the ones we haven't made a special case for, such as Ukrainians. No doubt some people will point to Afghanistan too, despite that plan not actually working. It's very much a case of white Europeans are okay, anyone else is a criminal. All of Jenrick's pathetic excuse-making might look good in the eyes of Braverman, but she shouldn't be an aspiration for anyone. Her blood runs colder than a witch's tit when it comes to asylum seekers. But it all came during the debate happening in the House of Lords over the illegal migration bill, which was going through the Lord's stage last night. And a concerted effort there was to try and get it killed off. A fatal motion was tabled by Lib Dem peer Brian Paddock, and it fell by 103 votes. A fatal motion passing would have meant the bill wouldn't be able to return to the Lords for 13 months. They could arguably have kicked it into the next Parliament when the Tories, the blue ones, might not even be in power any longer, and you figure Labour wouldn't bring it back. But then the fatal motion failed for a reason, and that reason was Keir Starmer ordering the Labour peers to abstain. Sir Abstainer strikes again. Labour figured they could improve it. Labour figured the Tories would just use the Parliament Act to ram it through, and well, maybe they would. But you'd have forced them to do so, and there's nothing democratic about that, is there? It would have been shameful. They would have had egg on their face over it. Instead, you ordered your peers to sit on their hands and just let it pass, where the Tory majority in the Commons will put it through. and it will go into law. And we will then be in breach of the Human Rights Act. Cue national embarrassment as it gets ruled illegal internationally, and then watch Sunak and co come after the human rights that protect all of us. 8 Labour peers chose to flip Starmer the bird over this and voted for the fatal motion anyway. Credit to them for that. Starmer has now since come out and added to his incredulous stupidity and again demonstrating he absolutely is a Tory himself by not only pledging to not repeal the Public Order Act that saw protest essentially outlawed over the coronation weekend, but he won't be repealing this illegal migration bill either when it inevitably now passes. The claim is it wouldn't be necessary for his planned immigration reforms. Yet again, the human rights barrister is binning human rights. Has he ever believed in anything he's ever done his whole life? I genuinely cannot think of another politician ever who is so lacking in vision or ideals. He literally just goes from one populist stance to another, flip-flopping to whichever direction the wind is blowing. He doesn't want to run the country, he just wants to be Prime Minister for the sake of it. He's no different to Liz Truss on that score. This legislation is bound to be found in violation of the Human Rights Act because it blatantly is. Starmer is either too stupid to not see that, or more likely couldn't care less, which begs to question after all of this, what are his motives towards the Human Rights Act, since even as a human rights lawyer, he can't be trusted to stand up for them. Other than the language, does that not put him and Jenrick at the end of the day on the same page? The illegal immigration bill is utter filth. It's about to become law. Thanks for watching. If you appreciated this video, please do hit like and subscribe, leave a comment and hit the notification bell too so you don't miss the next one. Also look out for me on social media and other interesting stuff by clicking on the Linktree link in the comments below, and I will see you next time. Cheers, folks.